morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. All right. Good morning.
People are starting to go stir crazy, myself included. I'm not gonna lie. So stir crazy, I forgot to take the off the camera this morning. But good morning in that. Let me get a hashtag professional in the chat too, because I forgot to take my super expensive. You have to have one of these if you have a webcam or. Really, you should be doing this with your cell phone, or God forbid you're one of those nitwits who still has the, what's the thing called? The camera that plugs into your PlayStation or your Xbox. If you have anything like that, any type of camera that's connected to the internet, and you don't have one of these, I'm about to show you right now, I don't know what you're doing, because you know they're watching you through those things. You know they are. I think I got this at Office Depot. I don't remember exactly how much it costs. It's very expensive. But if you don't have one of these over your camera, then you're just an exhibitionist. But if you don't have one of these things here, it comes folded up like this already. But depending on, see how easy it look. Where'd he go? The hell did he go? You see what I'm saying? I don't know where you're at. Office Depot may be closed due to quarantine. As soon as they open back up, you need to run up there and get you one. But anyway, good morning, and it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou. Live for you on LouTube at 8 or so in the morning on a Tuesday. Man, at least one or two of you have asked for us to do this morning show 5 days a week instead of 3. And I figure with everybody quarantined at home and nothing to do except argue with their spouses and yell at their kids, this week would be a good time to do it. So we are going to do it 5 times a week. This week, I mentioned it yesterday, so we'll be here every morning this week. And then as far as next week goes, we'll see. President Trump, during his during his press conference yesterday, he says he's leaning towards everything is going to be fine in 7 days. So we'll see. You may be ordered back to your job on Monday. I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling that won't be the case. It seems a little optimistic to me. But anyway, so point is, be here 8 o'clock every day this week. What, you don't believe me? Come on. I wouldn't have changed the on-screen graphic if I was kidding. So this used to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. Now this doesn't mean Monday and Friday. This means Monday through Friday. I probably should put through because some people get confused. But Monday through Friday at 8 a.m., the Uncle Lou Show with me, Uncle Lou, and BVD, if he's awake. Yesterday he didn't join us till whatever time it was, 8:45. I don't. It could be the situation, could be the same today. I don't know. You might have to listen to me for a few minutes, but Celine driver, I never contacted you yesterday, but you did say yesterday during the morning show that you would come on this morning. So if that's still okay with you, let me know in the comments, and I'll add you here. I'll add you here in a little bit, or I'll just get you to call in or whatever the case. So anyway, appreciate you all tuning in this morning to the morning show with Uncle Lou and Uncle Lou. And we'll see who joins us. Okay, Celine driver, I'll add you in a few minutes. So I appreciate all of you tuning in. Let's see, RB Smata, Mike Taylor, Melissa May, Bad Dog. What's up, buddy? A high Auburn fan, Celine driver, P Hub, Ken AV guy, good to see you, sir. Big Dog, what's up, buddy? Uncle Lou's doing anything normal right now. Jesus, yeah, you say that's an oxymoron. Before I even read the last part, I was about to say, if things have gotten so weird in this country that Uncle Lou is now the barometer of what's normal, we are in bad shape. We are in real bad shape. I run around in my underwear chasing chickens in the backyard. I wear hazmat suits to check the mail. So if Uncle Lou is the new normal, then we are in for some rough roads ahead. But I do appreciate the kind words. Though. SEC dog, what's up, buddy? Bears, Cubs, Canes, NASCAR, Vol. Appreciate all y'all tuning in this morning. There is some more college football news today, believe it or not. I mean, let's be real. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel to get any kind of sporting news right now. I mean, literally everything is shut down. I wanted to ask this. I don't watch wrestling anymore, like the WWE. But I saw somebody made a post yesterday. I don't remember where I saw it now. Something about Monday Night Raw. Anyway, if any of y'all watch wrestling, what are they doing? Are they still having like Monday Night Raw, but the arenas are empty? Or what are they? I'm curious about that. I haven't watched wrestling in years. Lou Jr. was into it for a few years a while back, and so I would watch it with him, but I haven't watched it since then. But so what is wrestling doing? Are they showing reruns? Are they what anyway? So yesterday was Monday, right? So it would have been Monday Night Raw. So what are they doing? I'm sure there's somebody in here that watches it. Maybe they don't want to admit it, but I'm sure there's somebody in here that watches it. Okay, Bad Dog says he thinks they're still doing it, but no crowds. Melissa says she only watches wrestling for her future baby daddy, Roman Reigns. Does he still come down from out of the crowd? Anyway. See, this is why I try not to read the comments during a live stream, because then I become just a viewer like the rest of you. I'm not going to sit here and just laugh and read these comments forever. Rock skipping for the win. We talked about that yesterday. I think you were in here. The ESPN showed that rock skipping over the weekend. Don't forget about the live show tonight, too, at 10 o'clock, Uncle Lou After Dark. That show is all college football, so we'll talk nothing but college football on that show. Well, sports in general. Sometimes we might talk some NFL draft or whatever, but you get the idea. It's more sports related. This one is morning show is kind of potluck here. Talk about whatever's on our minds. Tune in tonight, 10 o'clock on Glue After Dark. We've got game number 2 in the first round of the We Really Wish We Could Win a National Title playoffs that we're doing here on the channel. If you remember last Thursday, Georgia played Notre Dame and won. So Georgia is set to play the winner of tonight's matchup, which is Oregon versus Wisconsin. So the 4 teams that ended up being in these playoffs were Georgia, Oregon, Wisconsin, and Notre Dame. The 4 best teams this century that have not won a national title this century, right? So Georgia edged out Notre Dame in game 1 of round 1 on Thursday night. So tonight we will do game 2 of round 1, Oregon versus Wisconsin. So we'll run the regular show for an hour or so, 10 to 11 or so. Then I'll fire up the old Xbox 360. Oh, I have some more news on that too. I was able to find yesterday. Now, I haven't looked at these rosters yet. I was able to find yesterday someone who is already updating those rosters for 2020. Now, they don't have every team. According to what they say, they've done every team like A through G, I think. So, but that would still include some popular teams. I'm wondering, after we do these worst of the worst playoffs, maybe we will simulate some of next season's games. If we have teams A through G, that would give us Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, Auburn. Trying to think of any other big teams that might fall in there. Anyway, I think it's A through G or A through F. A through H, something like that they have done. So maybe after we finish that up with the I Wish We Could Win a Natty tournament that we're doing, we'll simulate some of this season's games with the updated roster. So like Georgia would no longer have Alabama would no longer have Tua or Judy. You get the idea. You know what 2020 rosters means. Come on. Clearly you know. Yeah. So, speaking of Tua, though, and I haven't watched it yet. I hope the video is on here. I was checking ESPN this morning, and they have a headline that says, Tua posts video of himself throwing ahead of the draft. So, clearly this is something we've all been waiting on. Pins and needles type situation. Let's check it out.
And with the simple.
Have a little bit of space so you can play. Yeah. Good. You can have a little bit of space so you can play. Yeah. Good.
Wow. Mesmerizing. What the hell is that? What? Stop it! Don't know what that was. That was that Lee Mooey Moo. No, I know y'all hate those commercials as much as I do. You have to. You have to hate those commercials. Anyway, I noticed that that Tua was throwing in some sort of indoor facility that he probably got permission to be in ahead of time. And was not breaking any laws or rules by being there, which is amazing. Because I was thinking maybe that must be something that's really hard to do, but apparently it's not. So shout out to Tua for finding somewhere to practice football within the rules. So shout out to the pineapple.
Oh, I don't speak pineapple, woo!
Shout out to the pineapple in that. What are we doing here? This. Okay. No, that doesn't seem right. All right. Now, what are you guys doing? Oh, there was one other thing. What else was there? I think I might have had one more, like, pointless football story for no reason. Did I? Yeah, it's not very interesting, but it's honestly the best I could do. There's no point in, I don't think there is anyway, any point in even putting this up on the screen, but you guys hear me talk about that collegefootballnews.com. They should just name this to collegefootballlists.com. Almost every single thing they do on this website is a list of some kind. And today they have the five breakout players you might not have heard of in 2019, but will have huge monster seasons in 2020. Whee! Sam Howell, QB, North Carolina. I think most people heard of him last year. They started out hot, and I like Sam Howell. I think North Carolina, not that they're on Clemson's level, or I'm not even suggesting that, but North Carolina is headed in a good direction. I mean, ask yourself who are you more confident in right now to win 10 games this year if you had to pick one of the following teams? Florida State with a new coaching staff and a terrible roster. Miami, year 2 under Handy Manny, bringing in Derek King and having an okay roster, but continually finding ways to crap to bed year after year against teams like FIU and Louisiana Tech. Or North Carolina. If you had to put your last dollar on one of those three teams to maybe go on a run, and keep in mind these are all ACC teams, so that means they play a whole bunch of ACC teams, which are terrible. I like the way North Carolina's headed, so I like Sam Howell here. He's on preseason Heisman lists. He's not going to win the Heisman. I wouldn't put a dollar on him winning the Heisman. But he had a good year last year as a freshman. Mac Brown, I think, surprised me last year. I wasn't sure how that would work out. He's been out of coaching for a long time. I know he's from North Carolina and coached there, and it was a great story when they hired him back. I just wasn't sure. Sometimes when coaches sit out for a lot of years, and Mac Brown was out for a lot of years sitting in a broadcast booth, a lot of times the game can pass them by. But not that North Carolina was great last year, but they definitely exceeded expectations. I think the combination of Mac Brown as head coach and Sam Howell year 2, I like the way North Carolina is headed, so they've got him on here. I guess I can put it on the screen. Why not? Anything beats looking at me. So they've got Sam Howell on here. There you go. Originally committed to Florida State, but Willie Taggart couldn't keep him. Shocker! Willie Taggart signed 0 QBs in his time at Florida State other than Alex Hornibrook, that transfer from Wisconsin. They signed him, and then they didn't even play him. Just a complete disaster. Willie Taggart at Florida State. What a joke. What a joke he is. Here, they lost several games in the middle of the season. And I talked about this, I think, when I did the North Carolina schedule preview a couple of weeks ago. Almost all their losses were only by a couple of points. Now I know they won a bunch of games by a couple of points too, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But anyway, they were a pretty good team. They're an interesting team to me for 2020. Do I think they're going to finish in the top 10 or anything like that? No, but I do think they have a good chance to be the second best ACC team. Who's next on this list? Let's see. What? Hamilcar Rashid, Oregon State. I'll freely admit I've never heard of this guy. Never heard of this guy. Plays hybrid linebacker. They claim he was the conference's best playmaker in the backfield last year. Okay. Led the Pac-12 with 14 sacks, lived behind the line of scrimmage. I guess that's kind of the point of this list, though. People you had never heard of that will have breakout seasons this year. So everyone write this name down. We'll be spending half our time this season talking about Oregon State linebacker Hamilcar Rashed. Yeah, on to the next one. Defensive end Gregory Rousseau. This French guy. I don't know about French people. I don't have anything against French people. Hell, my dad was French-Canadian, so I don't necessarily have anything against French people, just not sure how they work out as college football players, but we'll find out this year when Miami defensive end Gregory Rousseau has a breakout season, according to the good people over at College Football News. The offense might have struggled and sputtered. There's no might about it. The offense definitely struggled and sputtered. Hell, they were the only team in America that didn't score a single point in the bowl game. Lost to Louisiana Tech 14-0. That was after losing to FIU in that. Jeez. 6'7", 253 pounds. Miami has had good defense. I joke on Miami a lot. Miami's had some great defensive players, even over the last 3 or 4 years when they haven't been a very good team or whatever. Those 3 linebackers they had for several years, led by, what was his name, Shaq Quarterman, was that his name? I mean, they've had good defense. They've had a good defense. I mean, this is obvious here. I mean, their offense has been really bad. Maybe they turn the corner this year with Derek. I mean, I do like Derek King. He's undersized. I mean, he's 5'9". He's basically built like Kyler Murray, but he's not as good as Kyler Murray. He's good. I'm not putting Derek King down. I would have liked to have had him at Georgia. I'm not putting him down, but he's no Heisman winning QB or anything like that is the point I'm making. But he could be an upgrade over anything Miami's had at quarterback in a long time. And other than him, though, you better keep an eye on this guy. Breakout year, according to the good people over there. He is. Look at him. In the 305, they called me Uncle Lou. I wish I had that on here, but I don't. Damn it. Unprepared again. Who's next on this list here? Now this, this is weird. KJ Costello. I think most people probably do know who he is. He's a Stanford QB, I believe. Last year's let's put the pressure on. Oh yeah, Stanford transfer KJ Costello. So he was at Stanford. Now he's at Mississippi State. Of course, they got a new coaching staff at Mississippi State. The tools are there not only to come up with a big season, but to put up unbelievable numbers as possibly the most talented NFL caliber quarterback Mike Leach has ever had. Okay. The most talented am I reading that right? The most talented NFL caliber quarterback Mike Leach has ever had. KJ Costello. Nope. It's pretty much official at this point, according to the good people over at College Football News. But I guess if this is true, I guess your 2020. I don't know about national champions, but I guess your 2020 SEC champions will be none other than Mike Leach and your Mississippi State Bulldogs. Next. Najee Harris. I'm surprised this one is on here. Not because he's not going to be really good. Clearly he is. He's been good for several years. So I don't know really what this guy is doing in a breakout players list or whatever. I mean, they even say here, they did this list last year, and he was number 1 on their list last year. And he had 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. 7 more through the air. So how can you be a breakout player 2 years in a row? I like Najee Harris. He's a hell of a run. I mean, he's a great running back. But he was a great running back last year. Is there anybody who doesn't know who Najee Harris is? I don't know. I guess that's sort of a... I mean, that's why people like lists, I think. I think people like lists so that they can disagree with them and argue about them and say how stupid they are. And in my opinion, this one is pretty stupid. I like the Sam Howell being on there. KJ Costello, number 2, best NFL ready QB, whatever the hell. No, stop. Najee Harris, number 1, when he was number 1 on this list last year and had 20 touchdowns last year and 27 passes. So that's probably another 200 yards he had. So he probably had 1,500 yards. So who's he sneaking up on? This is stupid. This is stupid. Hold on. This is stupid too. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. Let me fix this if I can. I don't know if I can. I'm going to try to can. We'll see. We'll see if I can. I don't know if I can, but we will try. We will try to can. That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. Nope, that's not going to work. This might work, though. Well, this will definitely... There's no might about it. This will definitely work. There we go. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that. We'll put that right there. Hold on. There we go. Anyway, what'd you guys think about that list? And forget the list. Or how about this? Whatever team you're a fan of. I know there's Tennessee fans in here, Alabama. There's fans from all over. Oklahoma fans. Oh, bad dog, I'm talking to you. Who is your team's breakout player? Let me ask you this: as a Georgia fan, can I put George Pickens as a breakout player, or would that not count? Do you think he had a break? Do you think he broke out last year as a freshman? I don't know. He didn't do much first half of the season. Second half of the season, obviously he had some games where he was amazing, and I think he's going to be really good. But could I count him as a breakout player, or do I have to think of somebody like a little deeper, maybe less known than him? A lot of Georgia fans will probably hope Zamir White is a breakout player. Kendall Milton, I think, is a great pick. Kevin Cook, because I'm going to be honest, I have some worries about Zamir White. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. He's one of my favorite recruits that Georgia has signed in the last 5 or 6 years, and those back-to-back knee injuries just have me worried. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong. It'll be an amazing comeback story if Zeus can have a great year. But I'm big on Kendall Milton too. Nolan Smith's a good pick too. NASCAR Vol says Eric Gray. I like that pick. You have a great offensive line this year too. Tennessee does. So if Eric Gray can be a workhorse type running back, that's a good. I like that pick as a Tennessee fan. Eric Gray. Trayvon Walker, yeah, he's got to stay out of trouble, don't he? Yeah, he does. BVD has been quarantined. Poor BVD, man. Poor BVD. It's a shame. It really is. Trey Sermon for Ohio State. That's a possibility. I can't even name an individual player, but I'm wondering on Ohio State's defense, like, not that there's going to be another Chase Young. Chase Young got so much of the attention on Ohio State's defense last year. Let's be real. Ohio State was loaded on defense on all three levels last year, but Chase Young sucked up so much oxygen in terms of media attention and all that. I wonder who's the guy, who's the man, the main man, Ohio State defensive front four this year, because they had a ton of talent there even last year, which is one of the reasons Chase Young was able to have such a good year. It's not like you can just, you focus on nothing but Chase Young last year. They had two or three other players that could get to the QB, but most of the attention went to Chase Young. So I'm wondering on Ohio State who defensively will be the guy that everybody's talking about this year. What's the reason for BVD's truancy? Jonathan Cooper. All right. BVD is making moonshine hand sanitizer. I did see a story on the news where a brewing company, I think it was somewhere in the Northeast, turned their I forget what type of alcohol they made, if it was whiskey or what it was, but they turned their brewing machines into hand sanitizer machines. Yeah, this is 2 days in a row for BVD too. If you guys weren't here yesterday, he didn't get here till about 8:45. So if we're going off of just yesterday, BVD would still be 7 minutes early if he showed up now. There's a lot of people who are doing some very creative things. There's a couple somewhere in New York that ran a 3D printing business from their basement, and they have turned that into a medical mask making business. They 3D print medical masks 24 hours a day and deliver them to hospitals, doctors' offices, outpatient clinics, all those kinds of things. I've seen several stories on the news. Most of the news you turn on now is bad news. This many people died, this many people are sick, this many people are quarantined, this many people are out of work, all that kind of stuff. But every once in a while you'll catch the news slipping up and telling you like a feel-good story, a positive story. I know it kills them to do that. And you really have to be paying attention to see it, because they'd much rather just stick with the whole disaster porn scenario that drives their ratings. But you do catch them slipping every once in a while, and catch them doing like a feel-good story, an actual positive story. But like I said, you do have to be paying extra close attention to catch that. So, anyway, what else did I pretend to put in the title? How to kill time in the quarantine. What are y'all doing to kill time? I'm specifically interested in any of you that may be out of work due to the quarantine, or maybe even you're working from home, so you've got extra time or whatever. But what are you doing? Are you watching every single thing on Netflix that you never had time to watch before? Are you, I don't know. What are you doing? Are you playing board games with your kids every night at home? Oh my God, I can't imagine what a nightmare. I don't like that. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. Cleaning? Yeah. Oh, you're working at a Publix? Yeah, y'all are staying busy. I went to Publix yesterday. I got lucky. Man, I'll tell kind of a funny story, too. I went Publix is the grocery store I usually go to because it's the one closest to my house. And I went a little over a week ago, I guess, when sort of all this mess first was jumping off. And, no toilet paper. It was weird. No toilet paper, no meat, no bread, no milk, no eggs, all those kinds of things. But they had plenty of frozen foods, pasta, canned food, stuff like that. I go back again yesterday. All the stuff that they were out of last week, they have now. They had all the meat. They had milk. They had eggs. They had bread. They still didn't have toilet paper. But food-wise, everything that they were out of last week, everything that everybody went and bought up last week, they've got it, or at least they had it yesterday. All the stuff that I bought last week because they didn't have the other stuff, all that's gone. You go down the pasta, there's not a single box of noodles. No spaghetti noodles, no tortellini, no rigatoni, no elbow noodles, nothing. I mean, there's not a single pack of noodles at that Publix. No pasta sauce. You go down the frozen aisle, everything is gone. They had a few frozen pizzas left. You know where the frozen breakfast food, like they have sausage biscuits or whatever the frozen the Eggo waffle, whatever. They had one box of Jimmy Dean sausage biscuits. That's literally all they had in the entire breakfast section of the frozen freezer. So what happened is last week when they were out of all the regular stuff, milk, bread, meat, everybody bought all that other shit. Now they're out of all that other shit and they've got the meat back in. But they're rationing the meat. Like you're only allowed to get 2 packs of hamburger meat. You're only allowed to get so many chicken breasts, whatever the case. So, which I actually like. I know people hate the idea of a ration because then they get to go on their little pretend political rant where they pretend they know what they're talking about when they really don't, and they talking about bread lines in Venezuela and shit. But I'm glad they're rationing the meat because some idiot would go in there and buy 50 packs of hamburger meat. Somebody would do it. So I was glad they were them rationing hamburger meat is probably the only reason they had any when I went there yesterday. But I got a couple packs of hamburger meat. What else did I get? A couple of packs of pork chops. I got a couple of packs of chicken breasts. A pork tenderloin. Now, see, they didn't have any of that stuff last week. It was completely gone. So it's weird. Like, everything they had last week is gone now, and everything they didn't have, now they have that in. So, I don't know. It's just kind of strange. Let's see. Where's Celine Driver? Are you in here still? You can just call me Celine Driver whenever you're ready to come on. We'll put you on. How'd that be? Yeah, that'll be just fine. Yeah, just call me whenever you're ready to come on. Hey, do any of y'all well, first of all, do any of y'all even know how to play chess? And if you do know how, do any of you ever play? Just call my cell phone number. There's a guy I watch on YouTube sometimes. He does how-to videos on video editing. I tell y'all all the time. Some people watch my videos and are like, oh my God, this guy's amazing with his video. What's up, Celine Driver?
Oh, good morning in there.
Yeah. But I just watch these how-to videos on YouTube, like with video editing and stuff. That's how I learn everything I've learned. But anyway, this one guy that I watch, he never live streams either. He just uploads like tutorial videos, literally tutorial videos on like Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the editing program I use. But I pulled up YouTube not last night, but the night before, and it said he was live. And I was like, oh, he never live streams. So I clicked on it. And it was him playing. He was playing chess, online chess, with his viewers. Anyway, I just was curious. Do you play chess, Celine Driver?
No. I never could figure that game out.
Yeah.
Hey, how do I sound? I'm trying out a new headset.
Oh, you sound good to me. Yeah. Let us know in the chat that you can hear him okay too. But it sounds fine to me. It sounds clear. You're good. believe me, if they can't hear you or you sound muffled or something, believe me, they will let you know. They love to do that.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, so they'll definitely let you know. But what's going on in Florida? What's the latest down there?
Let's see, man. Beaches are closed, which really affects my town. All the parks are closed. All the Canadians have left. I don't know if I ever explained this before, but where I live on the west coast of Florida, we have something called season, which is roughly mid-October through Easter. And all the Canadians that have like dual residence, they come down so they can avoid the perpetual winter up there.
Right.
They're gone. They left.
Yeah.
All the Midwesterners are clearing out. The only thing we seem to have left now are New Yorkers, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania for some reason. But everything's really, everything's quiet. I mean, nothing crazy going on here. Just normal, except there's nobody on the road.
Well, I want to ask you about something your governor did yesterday in just a second. But first, let me thank Christopher D. Thank you, sir. Christopher D. Clicked the PayPal link to support the show this morning. Christopher, I really, really appreciate that. He didn't attach a note. You can attach a note on the PayPal link just like you can with a super chat, just for future reference. Christopher, you might not have wanted to, and that's fine too. I just want to make sure you're aware. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. And again, in case anyone's been in a hole or whatever, the super chat feature is gone from this channel for a while. It'll be back soon. In the meantime, if you feel like you want to support the show, you never have to. It's not required. But there's a link in the description of the video for the PayPal. You can attach a note to it, like I mentioned, just like you do with a super chat. I'll put the link back in the comment section too. But thank you, Christopher. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. So thank you. Now, Florida's governor yesterday did the press conference, which every governor is doing a press conference every single day, and he says, they're not closing anything down. They're not blah blah. This and that. I mean, you mentioned the beaches and the parks, but in terms of like, closing bars or restaurants and stuff, they're just not doing it. They're leaving it up to the cities or whatever. That's fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But what's weird to me is anyone who flies into the state of Florida, from New York, New Jersey, and I think Illinois. Anyway, it's a handful of states. If you fly into Florida from one of these states that he named, you have to self-isolate for 14 days when you get to Florida. Okay, that's great. Is I-95 South closed, though? Because, okay, so what if you live in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina? A lot of those people don't fly. Alabama, they just get in their car and drive right on down. It just seems weird to me. Like, I get that there's more people in New York than anywhere else that have the coronavirus, but Georgia's 8th or 9th on the list. I mean, we're about to be in pretty bad shape here. There's no restrictions. Like, I can get in my car right now, drive to Florida, spread corona around, no problem. But if I fly to Florida, then I have to self-quarantine. It just seems like one of those policies that was made for no real reason.
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes politicians, like, they don't really want to do anything, but they feel like they have to satisfy like a certain segment of the population or something. So they come up with some. And you're like, huh? Like,
yeah, I was
why?
about to say there's a syndrome in politics. We got to do something itis.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can't close the state border. I mean, that's just silly. I mean, the Interstate Commerce Commission will be down on you like a ton of bricks. First of all, it's damn near impossible. I mean, I remember when I drove from your house down to my house, and the GPS took me all through all kinds of crazy little towns in Georgia and Florida before I ever hit the interstate. I mean, if you think about the number of roads that cross the state border between Georgia and Florida, you couldn't seal it to to save your life. You couldn't do it. So
Yeah.
I think DeSantis, and don't get me wrong, I actually like DeSantis. I think he's pretty good. I mean, Rick Scott was a little shady, but he did okay. But DeSantis seems to be actually a good guy, a good person. Seems to have a good level head on his shoulders. But when he came out with that, you fly in from New York, New Jersey, you're going to have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I looked at the screen and I said, come on, man. You got to be kidding me. I mean, most people don't vacation for 2 weeks. You're basically telling these people, oh, if you come to Florida, you're going to spend your entire 2 weeks, your entire
in a hotel
vacation quarantined.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically, why don't you just say to them, hey, if you're from New York or New Jersey, don't come.
Right.
Just stay home. And you know what? From a certain point of view, I can agree with that because they're rude and they can't drive.
I do
feel
I hate to say that I ever feel bad for any politician because I really can't stand 99% of them, but I do feel like some of them are almost in a no-win situation. I mean, let's say you have a mayor, if you want to even start at the city level, a mayor or a governor if you want to look at a state level, or even Trump if you want to look at the national level. If they lock everything down and it works,
right,
the economy is going to continue to stay in the toilet because everything's shut down. But if it works in that the virus doesn't spread and it doesn't get as bad as what some people are saying it will, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to go, see, it was all for nothing. Nothing happened. We told you nothing was going to happen. And, of course, there's no way to know if that's true or if the lockdown is what prevented all the bad things from happening. And then on the other hand, if they do nothing, like Georgia's governor press conference yesterday, he's not doing anything. If it gets bad in Georgia, he's screwed. But if he locks everything down and nothing happens, then you're going to have people say, well, he ruined the economy for nothing. Look, nothing happened. So I do feel like it's there's no easy answers, really, whether you're talking about a local level. Now, somewhere like New York City, that's easy because it's already overrun with coronavirus in New York City. So that makes it easy. Yes, we got to shut everything down. The problem, of course, is it's too late. And that's the issue. You're 2 weeks behind. All the numbers we're seeing are 2 weeks behind because you got people that were tested 10 days ago that don't have results yet. You also got a lot of people who have it that can't get tested because you can't get tested unless you're basically half dead already. So like I said, I hate to say that I feel bad for politicians or whatever, but I do feel like for a lot of them, it's almost a no-win situation for a lot of them.
Well, I mean, just take the politician aspect out of it for a second. I mean, how many of us in our lives are faced with a no-win situation? I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I mean, it's an old saying, but it's appropriate every day of our lives. I mean, and everyone in politics in a leadership position, from Trump all the way down to the governors, to the mayors, to the city councils, they're in exactly the situation you're talking about. If they do I mean, Trump is doing what he's doing, and he'd be condemned if he cured cancer. So,
right.
Right. I mean, if he cured cancer, AIDS, syphilis, herpes, and gave everyone $1 million check, they'd still condemn him. So he can't do anything right, no matter what, for a certain segment of the population. But if he underreacts, the Monday morning quarterbacks, when all this ends, and all this will end.
Right.
Well, it may not end, but it will ease up at some point. If he does too little, he's condemned. If he does too much, he's condemned.
Yes.
So he's in a no-win situation. So what a true leader, I don't care if it's in politics or your local public store manager, a true leader will go with what he or she feels is the right thing to do given the situation and given all the facts that they know. And of course, we all know you can never know all the facts of a
Right.
situation. You take the knowledge you have, you take your experience, you take your gut, and you go with what you think is right. And as another old saying goes, I'm full of them today, I guess, let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
And
people are upset with Trump, I guess, last night and today, because in his press conference yesterday, he gave the indication that he's ready to start opening things back up. And they're like, well, but all the doctors are saying this, and the World Health Organization is saying that, and the National Institute of Health is saying this, and Dr. Fauci this. But here's the thing. Like when you're president, when you're the executive at any level, a business, a corporation, a city government, whatever, you've got advisors all around you. Now, in the case of this coronavirus situation, using Trump as an example, you've got a set of medical advisors. Clearly, the advice they're going to be giving you is that we need to shut everything down. Everything's got to be. Their job is health. That's it. Then you're going to have the economic advisors, and they're going to be saying the opposite. We've got to get the economy back up and running. We've got to do this. We got to do that. We got to get people back to work. That's their job. That's the medical people's job, is to worry about the medical. And then, like you said, Trump being president, he has to then take that information in, and he has to be the one that ultimately makes the decision. And you talking about all your sayings, well, of course, the buck stops here type saying. Whether it's fair or not is not the point. If this situation works out well and the coronavirus is gone in 6 weeks and the economy is back up and running and heading in the right direction, Trump's going to be a genius, and he's going to reap those benefits and rewards. If the opposite is true, he's going to catch all the hell. That it's not fair. It's not right. We all know no matter what happens, good or bad, it's not going to be a direct result of Donald Trump and only Donald. It's not purely Donald Trump that the stock market went to 28,000, and it's not purely Donald Trump that the stock market is now tanked to 18,000. But when you're president, right, it's sort of like being the quarterback of a football team. If the team does great, the quarterback gets way too much credit, and if the team does bad, the quarterback gets way too much blame. And when you're an executive, whether, like I said, whether you're the executive of a big corporation, whether you're the president of the United States, the governor, the mayor, whatever, same sort of thing applies. If things are going great, the mayor's doing a great job. If things are going bad, the mayor's doing a terrible job, even though we all know there's way more that goes into it than just that.
Well, evidently the comment section doesn't like my headset, so I switched over to my speakerphone. I'll add to that. In a country specifically, and I might be a little harsh with this next comment, but in a country where, quite frankly, in my not so humble opinion, the education system has failed to educate the vast majority of the public in things like basic economics, basic civics, how the government is supposed to work, and maybe even a little bit of how the government actually works. You rely on the president, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, to project an image that, yes, we're in trouble. I mean, try and at least be honest with the voting public, but everything is going to be all right in the end. We are on top of it. We're doing what we can, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you and I, and probably a good majority of the people in the comment section, know that the reality of that is somewhat less than that, but it is in a way the job of the president to exude an air of confidence and calm in the face of problems, whether they're big problems like this or smaller problems, which is why you have, strange things like George W. Telling people, after 9/11 to, try and lead normal lives. And he said, famously, go shopping. It sounds silly,
yeah.
But if you step back from it a little bit, you analyze what's the message behind it. I mean, he's trying to say, be normal. Don't lose your minds. Don't jump out of buildings. Don't go crazy. that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
Trump,
I don't think
so
it's
Trump's
much of a
saying,
secret that I'm not Trump's biggest fan, and most times it doesn't have anything to do with his policies or anything like that. I honestly think he's an embarrassment. I think he's a clown. I watch him on TV and I shake my head and I say, I can't believe we elected an internet comment section as president of the United States. It's just embarrassing to me. It has nothing to do with his policies. But when you have something like this new drug combination and he comes out and, like you said, he's trying to be positive. He's trying to give people hope. Like, listen, we're working on something. And then all the media wants to do is jump on him about how, and not all the media, it's a handful. But, you know, they want to jump on him about, oh, this drug ain't even approved. And then they find the one story, like one place in the world where that that combination of medicine killed somebody. And they're like, oh, he's an idiot. But listen, it's not like Trump's not just snapping his fingers and going, we're going to give people that medicine. He's not even making that decision. That's up to the FDA, the health professionals. And like, but listen, if you're laid up in a hospital and you're about to die, it's just like cancer treatments, right? There are experimental cancer treatments that aren't fully approved yet by the FDA for mass use or whatever. But if you've got a terminal prognosis, if I'm laid up in a bed and they tell me you're going to die in 6 days, there's just nothing we can do. Now, there's this experimental drug. It's not approved. We don't. You know, it might save you, it might not. We don't know. I would take it. You know, if I've got a room full of doctors telling me I'm going to die in 6 days, or I would take whatever they would be willing to give me. So,
well, did you hear about that story here in Florida? About there was that exact scenario, Lou.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah,
the guy's
guy
good now.
The guy was hours from death. I mean, the doctors told him to say goodbye to his wife and kids.
Yeah.
He heard about this. It's a quinine derivative, and they didn't want to give it to him because it wasn't approved for the beer flu. And he said, and he begged them, you know, what have I got to lose? You've already written my death certificate. You've already told me I'm going to go to the great beyond. Hit me. What was it? 8, 9, 10 hours later, he says it felt like I was never sick. I want to go fishing. He literally said that.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jake Fromm. Sorry. Had to.
I see what you did there.
You know, if people knew, I mean, I've read, you know, I am a conservative. I am a libertarian. I am not the biggest Trump fan in the world, but I thought, you know, the alternative was worse, but never mind that. I have read some of the books that Trump read, including The Art of the Deal. If people had read The Art of the Deal, they would understand why he does what he does, how he does what he does, and what the point of what he does. So, and they would understand him better. I read the book. I understand his tactics because I read the book. I think I know the man a little better because I read that book. What he's doing is straight out of Art of the Deal. And what he wants, what any leader would want, especially a leader in an election year, is to try and convey some kind of level of things are going to be all right. We get through this, we're going to come out good on the other side. Now, maybe he's doing it in a way that isn't polished and sanitized and run through political consultants like, you know, the phony politicians that we're used to dealing with, and I hate them all, by the way. Left and right, I condemn almost every one of them. I can think of 3 that I actually like. But he's doing it in plain language, which sounds strange considering all of us have been on a steady diet of political doublespeak for our entire lives. But I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to say, if we can get through this, we are going to come out on the other side. We're going to boom again. You know, that's the hope anyway. I get what he's trying to do. He's just not doing it in a polished manner. And of course, the fact that he's doing it, he's being condemned by the media, the majority of the media. He's being condemned by, you know, everyone who's a Trump hater. And that noise is getting as much play as his as he is. So
yeah, well, and this is one of the things that where Trump, I think, steps on his own foot sometimes, because Trump loves that. Trump loves arguing with the media. So it's sort of a thing where do they treat him unfairly? Of course they do, but he encourages it. You know?
Oh, he loves to engage.
Yeah, I mean, the guy asked him. You know, the guy asked him the other day, "What do you say to Americans who are afraid right now? You know, they don't know when they're going to go back to work. They don't know who in their family might have the virus. They're afraid. What do you say to those Americans right now who are living in fear?" And he goes, "I tell them you're a terrible reporter." I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, now that reporter hates Trump. Everyone knows that. But you're the president of the United States. Just answer the question and move on. So in some of these things, I think he does bring it on himself a little bit. Not that that's an excuse for what some of the people how some of the people in the media treat him. And let's not forget, okay, Fox News did exist from 2008 to 2016, and it was 24 hours a day of Obama is the devil. I mean, you know, Fox News is the reason you still have half the population walking around actually believing that Obama was born in Kenya, you know, that he's a Muslim, that there's underground tunnels beneath the Pizza Hut in Washington, D.C., just this weird. Well, we're not going to start talking about QAnon.
I
think everyone.
The tunnels under the Pizza Hut.
Well, I don't know what rock hole you've been living in, but Hillary Clinton and John Podesta run a top secret child trafficking ring.
Oh, that okay, yeah, I heard about that.
Through underground tunnels beneath a Pizza Hut in Washington D.C. But let's not get started on the whole QAnon stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. Political opinions are fine. It doesn't matter to me what political opinion anyone holds. If though, and I mean this, and this isn't a TJ LSU dad thing. I hope you still watch, but I'm just going to be honest. Anybody that follows the QAnon thing, your mind is gone. Your mind is gone, and I don't know what has happened or gone wrong at some point along the way for you, but anybody that follows QAnon, your mind is mush.
Yeah, well,
you are completely gone.
They don't have a mind, but yeah, their mind. The QAnon folks are just they're on the same level as the Westboro Baptist Church folks. They're so far out of reality. It's just, I mean, it's almost like you point at them and laugh.
Right, and like I said, I'm not saying anyway. Oh, what about Rand Paul? You know, I like irony. I like irony in politics. You know, like the one guy, Gates, whatever his name is, wears a World War II gas mask to the Florida House of Representatives one day to mock people who were trying to take the coronavirus seriously. This was like 3 weeks ago, before we know what we know now. He wears the gas mask, making fun of people who are worried about the coronavirus, and then literally 3 days later, he had to self-quarantine because he found out he was in the same room as someone who had it or whatever. Well, then you got Rand Paul votes against that first coronavirus bill that provided free testing for anyone in America who wanted to get a coronavirus test. He voted against it. Well, then 3 days later, he himself got a free coronavirus test and, of course, tested positive. But besides that, between the time he was tested and the time his results came back, which was a couple of days it took, he was in the Senate gym. They have their own gym. You know, he's all up in the gym. He's in the swimming pool. He's on the floor of the Senate, surrounded by hundreds of people. Now, he obviously knew he had been exposed to the coronavirus because he went and had the test taken. But and he's a doctor. He's a medical doctor.
Yeah, but if you ever listen to Rand and his father, those two are in fucking Pluto, man.
Listen, outside of their, you mentioned being a libertarian. They claim that's what they are. Outside of Rand and Ron Paul's opinions about foreign intervention, I can't think of anything I agree with them on. I do agree with some of their stance on, why are we in 120 countries? Bring these troops home. Quit with the endless wars. That's one of their big talking points, and I agree with them a little bit to that extent, but it pretty much stops there. And how about Rand Paul getting his ass beat by his neighbor a couple of years ago? That was funny too.
I don't know if that was funny, but it shows this. It shows the state of where we are now.
Let me ask you this too. Right now, anywhere in America, you can only get a coronavirus test if you show symptoms and you have an underlying issue. That's it. Anyone else, they tell you, no, don't get tested, just go home. How did Rand Paul get a test? How did all these NBA players who never had symptoms get a test? How did on and on and on.
Rand Paul got a test because he's a senator.
What does that matter?
They have a different health care plan than the rest of us. They don't actually fall under Obamacare, believe it or not.
That doesn't have any. Who gets tested has nothing to do with insurance plans, because every single insurance plan in America has agreed not to charge anything for corona. It has nothing to do with the plan you're on.
No, I was being facetious. I think the reason he got tested was he was at CPAC. I don't know if you know what CPAC is.
No, I know the reason why he got tested. I'm saying, why was he allowed to be tested? He didn't have any symptoms. If I go to the doctor right now and say, oh my God, I was at whatever, and such has coronavirus, and I was exposed to it, they're not going to test me. They won't test me because I have no symptoms. I have no fever. Rand Paul had none of that. According to everyone, including President Trump on down, you're not allowed to, because they don't have enough tests, regardless of who says what. They don't have enough tests, so they have all these rules. You have to meet certain criteria to even get tested. So how did Rand Paul get tested is what I want. It's not because he's a senator. You answered it already. That's why. You're right.
Yeah, come on, Lou. You knew the answer to that before you asked the question. It's
right.
It's the same answer that the NBA guys got tested.
You're right.
And they have money. They have influence. They have a certain level of power. I don't know about power at the NBA, but they certainly have a ton of money and influence. They're going to get, the rich and powerful always get. And the regular guy like you and me, we don't, unless we need it.
Why do the Democrats, this is what, I don't understand this either. The Democrats are voting no on this stimulus bill. Now, some of the reasons I think are legitimate, okay? But then they also put in there, well, we want stricter emissions testing on airlines. I know it makes no sense. I don't want these okay, we gave these corporations all this money last time, and then what did they do? They gave their CEOs huge bonuses. They did stock buybacks, which artificially inflates the price of their own stock, which then triggers extra bonuses for them. So I agree. There needs to be strict monitoring over and rules over what these corporations are allowed to do with the money we give them. I agree with that. So I'm all for the Democrats fighting for that. But why do you have to put in there extra aircraft emissions regulations and
I know the
rules
answer
for the post office and all this kind of stuff? We know you want those things. We know Democrats want all that kind of stuff. This isn't the time to be trying to do that. If you want to hold the bill up, take the emissions crap and all that, all your pet projects, take all that out and stick to, we don't want the corporations doing stock buybacks, bonuses, those kinds of things. It would be much more well perceived if they did it that way. But when you stick all these pet projects in there, it just makes it look political again.
Well, for one thing, I know that Trump said in one of his pressers that this money is not for stock buyback and we don't want to catch you guys doing it. I applauded him for that. But the answer is very simple. Back in, I think it was 2008, it was during the election. It was after the election, and Obama had won. And one of his advisors, you may know the name Rahm Emanuel.
Uh-huh.
He famously said in a presser, never let a crisis go to waste, or
Right.
words to that effect. And that's what the left has decided to do with throwing all this garbage into. I mean, for one thing, in Washington, the idea of a clean bill is sort of
I know,
sort
and
of a
that's
cute.
that
It's a
makes me
cutesy
so
idea.
mad. But I talked with somebody about this yesterday. Why don't they just do the like the cash payments that they're talking about, right? Make that its own thing. Do that first, because that would make the majority of people in the United States very happy if you just did that. Do that and just that. But they won't do that. But you know what they did do? Stand alone. And it was the very first thing they did. Stand alone. Both parties fully agreed. No extra shit packed in there. They took care of Wall Street 2 weeks ago. $1.5 trillion. There was no extra pet projects crammed into that. They agreed on that. They agreed on that in a quick minute.
Well, Congress is heavily invested in Wall Street. Come on, Lou, you know the answer to these questions before you
but
ask them.
that is why you look at like approval numbers overall. Congress is right up there with like lawyers and whatever else is considered shady or whatever. I mean, that's
Congress has a 22% approval rating.
I mean,
right
it just
now
burns you up. I mean, you got people. I mean, I'm lucky. This hasn't, personally, this entire situation has not affected me one bit, personally. Now, obviously, I'm a part of a bigger community, and I'm the type of person that believes that, I'm all for staying in my house. I'm all for doing whatever I can do to help. But personally, this hasn't affected me. YouTube's not closed. Mrs. Lewis still going to work. My kids are home from school. That's the extent of how this has affected me personally.
Yeah, me too.
But there are a lot of people who are out of work and have been out of work for weeks now. And it's and almost every single day that goes by, there's more and more. The unemployment numbers are going to come out this week. It's going to break every record known to man. There's going to be over 2 million new unemployment claims just from last week alone. Take care of the people, okay? You gave Wall Street $1.5 trillion. Great. Take care of the people. Does anybody really think there's anything that can happen to the economy to make Walmart go out of business? No. Do they need some help? Probably. Am I okay with helping them out? Yeah, because they employ hundreds of thousands of people. They're the biggest employer in the United States. So I'm okay with helping them out a little. But can we but help the people for a change? And I'm not even talking about me personally. Now I guess I'll benefit if they do that, but that's honestly not why I'm so frustrated about it. You took care of Wall Street. No one tried to add fuel emissions to that. No one tried to add something in the back door of that bill. Right away, as soon as this thing started 2 weeks ago, the first thing they did was give Wall Street $1.5 trillion. And now we're just round and round and round in circles. The people can't get taken care of. The average person can't get taken care of because they got to make sure the small business and the corporations and the big businesses and hospitals. Here's another thing, hospitals. What a shame. What a shame that hospitals are having to pay $8 for a $1 mask. Man, I feel so sorry for hospitals who have been charging me and you and everybody else $90 for a Tylenol and then $10 for the plastic cup that they bring it to you in for decades. $90 for one Tylenol these hospitals have been charging you. And now they want sympathy. They want sympathy now. They want you to donate to them. Now, listen, I hope the hospitals get all the stuff they need because people's lives are on the line here. So I hope they get it. But I hope they pay through the nose. I really do. What hospitals do to people is absolutely insane.
I used to do medical billing, as I told you, Lou. So I know why that is now. I didn't before, obviously, but after doing medical billing for a good long time.
Well, that's because when you have insurance, they charge your insurance company $90 for a Tylenol to pay for the next 20 people that come in that don't have insurance and they never get reimbursed for that Tylenol. That's why they do it.
70%.
Yeah,
right
and if anyone's watching that's a nurse or a doctor or a PA or a receptionist at a doctor's office, I'm not talking about any of you individually or personally. I'm talking about these huge for-profit, mostly, hospitals that charge $80, $90, $100 for a Tylenol whenever somebody comes in there that has good insurance. Not that you have to pay the $90 or $100, but your insurance company is. In other words, the hospital is getting paid $100 for handing you one Tylenol, and that's insane. They're getting paid $10 for giving you that Tylenol in a tiny clear plastic cup. It's insane. And now these hospital administrators and executives are on the news every single day crying because they're having to pay $8 for a mask that last week they were able to buy for $1. Well, suck it up, lady, and pay the $8. Welcome to the world of price gouging. You have been practicing this for decades, so bend over and take it. That's my message to hospital CEOs.
Oh, I agree. I agree. You know, it's the responsible people out there like you and me. We pay our taxes, we have insurance, we pay our premiums. We try not to make claims on the insurance, but when we do, we go to the hospital, and they hit us for $5 Band-Aids, $10 Tylenols, thousands of dollars for a surgical procedure that probably only costs a few $100s in an outpatient situation. I mean, Jesus, I could quote you chapter and verse about how Medicare alone pays almost nothing, and yet for procedures, and yet the bill that we send to Medicare. I mean, we literally send to Medicare for a procedure we know we're only going to get paid $5 on, literally $5. With the bill we sent to them was $100 for that procedure, and that was I remember that specifically. And then the reason for that, like you said, is for every one of you and me, Lou, there are 5 or even 10 folks that run into the ER. They have no insurance. They're using the ER to be treated for normal maladies that they're going to be treated in an office situation. And they have no insurance, so the hospital has to eat the cost. And if it's a private hospital, they have to eat the cost. They have to find some way to recoup it. So you have the case of $10 Tylenol pills.
Yeah,
and so on like that. And it's all, at this point, Lou, it's a game. Who can game the system the best? I mean, the insurance companies pay nothing back to the hospitals. The hospitals charge the insurance companies exorbitant amounts of money in order to get almost nothing back from them. Pardon me. And the co-pays. I mean, the co-pays that you and I pay are part of the game. Yeah. And now with the new reality of Obamacare, where our deductibles have gone through my deductible right now, before insurance even pays a dime, my deductible is $7,000. And now I have a couple of pre-existing conditions, admittedly, but I'm just insuring me. My ex-wife is covering my kids still, fortunately, through her job. But just for me, my deductible is $7,000. I have to come $7,000 out of pocket before the insurance will kick in on anything, except for a couple of exceptions. So it's all a game at this point. To reform this system, you have to blow it up. I mean, you literally have to tear the entire guts out of the system and start day one, ground floor, and try and build something. It would probably take 5 years to build it. And it probably wouldn't even be any better than what we got now, because too many people are going to stick their hands in and say, "Gimme, gimme, gimme." And this is why my father, God bless him, in 2008, after the election, threw his hands up and for the third and final time retired from being a diagnostic radiologist. He said, I know what's coming, and it's going to be worse than it is now, and I'm leaving. And I'm going to do my thing, which, thank God he's still doing 12 years later, but it's a mess. And you're right. You analyzed it perfectly, sir. But
Hey, what's wrong with there's some somebody said something about BVD. Is something wrong with BVD that I don't know about? Somebody in the
no,
comment
they're
section said
thinking,
he'll be
they're
tough,
speculating.
or what does this say? Oh, okay.
They're speculating, Lou. I'm here and BVD isn't. It's usually me and you and BVD.
Yeah.
So they're speculating, where's BVD?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know either. I watched his show last night. He seemed okay to me. I don't know of anything being wrong with him. Maybe he probably just overslept or something.
He probably figured since I was going to be here that I was doing it on Tuesday instead of him. Maybe.
Wow. That's yeah. Let's go with that. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So.
I'm happy to be here. You know,
I know you are. I'm happy to have you, sir. I'm happy to. No, seriously though, I do appreciate you coming on this morning because normally, I mean, you've been a guest on here before, but normally these things are scheduled out a couple of weeks in advance, and this literally came up yesterday.
Hey, Lou, all I need with the way my life is set up right now, the way my schedule is, you literally could give me a half hour's notice, and I'm there.
Oh man, you're good people. You really are. You're a good friend of Uncle Lou and of the channel and of the show, and you have been for a long time. So I
appreciate that, sir. Most kind words. And I want to clarify one thing for you and for the folks. So when I say I'm a libertarian, I'm not one of those libertarians that runs around saying, all drugs should be legalized and that kind of nonsense. That's part of the libertarian. When I say I'm a conservative / libertarian, what I want and what I believe is that the government should be staying out of our lives as much as possible. That's where I sit.
Right.
And my degree was in politics at Florida. I was I got my bachelor's in politics. I got my master's in administration. So. But I was a political junkie for a long time, but I am so turned off by the current climate. I've been turned off by the political climate since the mid 2000s. It's just a friggin' horror show. I just wish they would all leave us alone. Let us live our lives. Let us spend our money our way. We're smart enough to be able to take care of ourselves. Pave roads, pay the military, secure the border, get out of my life, get out of my wallet, get out of my bedroom. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And you've seen my posts on Facebook. I post all kinds of stuff, and I don't post anything I don't believe, but you know what I think.
I just use Facebook for entertainment. Don't I know what you say?
Well, I love when you post on Facebook some of this stuff. I don't because
isn't it funny how mad people will get though?
I mean, I literally post in those things. I'm one of the first people to put up when I see them. I said, "I'll lose board again." and you never say, and you never respond. But I know you. I know what you're doing. You're stirring the pot, and then you sit back with your popcorn, and so do I, and you just watch these people spin themselves. And you know what the best ones are, Lou? You know what the best ones are? The best ones are the ones that come back to you, and God love them. I mean, they come back to you with those posts, with citations and with pages, links to look at this, Lou, read this, it'll prove you wrong, and on and on. And then God bless them, they're working so damn hard. And I see you. I've been in the garage. I picture you exactly where you are right now, in the chair in front of the dual screens, lean back, laughing your full head off. Am I wrong?
You've never been more right.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
I know what you're doing, and I love it. I just love it. And it's a great way to stir them up without putting out a video and having to edit the video and possibly getting a YouTube strike or something.
I will say this. I try to make it a general rule not to talk politics on YouTube. I try to stick to just trolling Facebook with that. But I'm going to be honest. It has been nice that for about the last hour or so, and I haven't paid that good of attention to the comments, so maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure it might. But anyway, I think this is the first time I've talked about politics for this long without it devolving into some sort of well, you're a liberal Democrat trash can who hates America and worships the devil. Well, no, you're a Republican retard, and or, you know what I mean? Like, that's all that's on Facebook anymore.
No,
you know what I mean? If
you
don't share someone's exact political views, then you hate America and all this kind of stuff, and it's ridiculous, And that's why I just went to the full-blown troll mode with politics on Facebook, because no one wants to have a real conversation. They just want to call you a name if you don't agree with every single thing they say. So as much as I hate talking politics because it normally devolves into that, this was nice to sit here and talk politics for about an hour and just crack jokes and not name call and, if you don't agree with me, I hate you and all this kind of stuff. It was refreshing.
Yeah, you can disagree with someone without being disagreeable. I mean, my mom, I love my mom. I do. She's a great lady. She's Democrat. I mean, she's not a hyper partisan or anything, but she has a good understanding of what's going on, and she's no fan of Trump. That's for damn sure. And but I can sit there and talk with my mom. I'm too afraid of my mom to call her crazy or something like that. But all good Jewish men are still afraid of their moms. Remember that.
Yeah.
But two of the I have on Facebook. I am friends with two people who they're filmmakers, and I've been supporting one of their projects for a few years now through Patreon and other ways. Tommy Kraft and Callie Bussell. They're working on this project called Electron Blade, which is really a neat thing. But they are, they're actors, and they're lefties. And we've had discussions from time to time, and we're good friends, good people. I love them to death. I respect them to death, but politically we don't mesh.
Right.
But that's okay. And there's another guy there's a guy in Atlanta. He's actually based in Atlanta now. His name is Alec Peters. He's working on a Star Trek project called Axanar. Some of the guys may have heard of it or not. But he's far left guy too. But man, he is a flamethrower. I mean, you read his posts about Trump and everything, you'd swear this guy is we're just a little bit short of being on Al-Qaeda or something like that. But he's a good guy, and we've had plenty of discussions in private. He knows me and where I stand on things, and I know him and where he stands on things. And, just because we disagree on a lot of things, we do agree on he's a big Mustang guy. Loves the pictures I sent him of my Mustang, and we talk about that. We talk about events of the day. I mean, it's a left versus right, folks, but it's civil. It's disagree without being disagreeable.
Yeah.
And that's possible when you have respect.
Yeah.
If you don't have respect, and a lot of people don't in this world, and I blame the way people are raised nowadays. The way people raise their kids with no respect. I've seen it I've seen it in grocery stores. A kid literally, mommy wouldn't buy him a box of cereal. The kid literally hauled off and kicked his mom in the shins. I say, if I did that, my mom would have beat me black and blue inside the store, hauled me out to the car, and then thrown me in the trunk.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir with that line of thinking there.
Nobody was raised with respect past a certain, and I know I'm beginning to sound like okay boomer, get off my lawn. That
okay
kind
boomer.
Of well, for one thing, I'm really, I don't know if I'm on the edge of baby boomer or not. The year I was born, but whatever. The lack of respect out there, it just. I mean, they're literally. I mean, Kathy Griffin getting on Twitter with a fake severed Trump head.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, ridiculous.
I mean, you don't have to love the guy. You can dislike the guy actively, but Jesus, you're actively calling for the murder of the president of the United States. Really?
Yeah, that's the thing. And then they hide behind the whole we're comedians.
And then she
have a
gets
history,
on
blah, blah,
it.
blah. There's nothing funny. I mean, there's a different like George Carlin used. People used to come down on George Carlin. They didn't like what he did.
I love
Politicians. I mean, his records were banned. His comedy routines were banned. But he came after politicians for a good reason, and he did it the right way. He used it as a part of his comedy routine. He didn't just post
George
a picture
Carlin.
of a severed head. I mean, that just doesn't. I mean, that just serves no purpose.
Hey, do you know about do you have Sirius XM?
Yeah.
Do you know about the George Carlin channel?
No. I know there's several comedy channels. I didn't know there was a George Carlin.
No, there's a channel entirely dedicated to George Carlin.
Oh, God. Yeah, you should have told me that.
Yeah, you got to go find it.
He's sitting
man.
in my car all day today listening to radio now, but
it's all the classic stuff. Well, don't you have the ability to listen on your computer?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
do that,
I
man.
do.
I'm telling you that he brings up the old and this stuff from the 70s, and it's still relevant today. It's still just I've heard this stuff a dozen times, and there's still lines that he says that crack
George
me
Carlin's
up.
the GOAT to me. I know that Eddie Murphy and even Richard Pryor and Red Fox and Dolomite or however far you want to go back. To me personally, for my money, bring back George Carlin. For me, the greatest stand-up comedian of all time. Now I love Eddie Murphy, Raw and Delirious. I love it's amazing, and those might be two of the best single comedy shows of all time. But in terms of overall career and who I like the best, it's George Carlin on top of everybody else for me.
Hey, I'll give you a name you've probably not heard before, but uncensored, this guy is a riot. Especially the way he speaks adds to the routine. Buddy Hackett. No, you probably never heard of him. I mean, he's old. He was old when I was young, but he is actually a very funny guy. Uncensored. He's like Red Fox level uncensored. I mean, Red Fox is fantastic when he's not having to be censored. But Buddy Hackett is just as funny. He's a storyteller. That's his humor. He's a storyteller.
I think maybe tomorrow or Thursday on the show, I think I'm going to pull up some Carlin clips, maybe some of these old famous comedy clips, because we talked about this a lot yesterday too, and now talking about it again, I might pull some of these. Up. I talked about this one yesterday, but the line that George Carlin has where he says, somebody mentioned it might have been you actually that put it in the comments. I don't remember who it was, but one of his many famous lines, George Carlin says, I want you to think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize that means half the people are stupider than that.
No, that wasn't me. I know.
And that is just such a great line. And Eddie Murphy, I don't remember if it was Raw or Delirious, but Eddie Murphy, and these came out in the early 80s when Rocky was real big in the movie theaters. And he does this whole routine about how white people went to see Rocky and then thought that meant they could actually really beat up black people. And they would come out of the theater just looking for a black person to mess with and then get their ass beat every single time.
DVDs in the comments section.
Okay. I appreciate you tuning. Thank you for tuning in this morning, BVT.
We were speculating on if you were sick or something. We're worried about you, man. Hey, anyway. Do you need me on? Hey, Blue, do you need me on Thursday?
I have no idea. No, because we accidentally double booked for tomorrow, so I moved one of them back to Thursday.
All right.
Let me look at my, thing here. There's nobody for Friday, so unless there's somebody that wants to be on Friday, then we'll have you back on Friday.
I'm free on Friday. I'll write it down.
Sounds good. Let's get it wrapped up for today. I'm going to let you go, Celine Driver, and then wrap the show up. So thank you again for joining us this morning. I had a good time. I'm sure the people did too. Hopefully they learned something about us. That's sort of the idea of having people on, get to know people.
Hey, Lou, it's always a pleasure. And everybody, stop by my channel.
Yeah, y'all check him out. Leave a comment or something in the comment section. Let people click on your name and subscribe to your channel. But y'all check him out, Celine Driver on YouTube. Give him a sub. Yeah.
All right. As soon as we hang up, I'll leave comments. Well, I always do anyway.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Appreciate you coming on.
See ya.
All right. Bye. Great friend of this show, Celine Driver. Been around a long, long time. Treats me and my entire family. I've told this story multiple times, but 2 years in a row now, he has sent Christmas cards here to my house. Not just one Christmas card, 4 separate Christmas cards to my house. 2 Christmases in a row now. And he's Jewish. He doesn't even celebrate Christmas, right? But 2 Christmases in a row now, Celine Driver has sent 4 separate Christmas cards to my house. One for me, one for Mrs. Lou, one for each of the kids. And a gift card inside each Christmas card. And it's not like he just goes to Walmart and buys 4 Walmart. He actually puts thought into it. Like, he got me a Fanatics gift card to fanatics.com. He got Mrs. Lou a Starbucks card. And the kids, I think it was a Walmart gift card, if I remember right. So just a really good guy. He's treated me and my entire family really, really well. So, Celine Driver, thank you again for coming on this morning. But that is going to do it for this morning's show, I think. Shout out to Christopher D. again for supporting the show. Christopher, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for clicking that PayPal link. And Troy T., thank you, sir, for supporting the show this morning. That really means a lot. It's been a rough week for me for a variety of reasons, which you probably already are aware of by now. But it makes me feel good to see all you guys joining me every morning here on the morning show. I look forward to these morning shows. I love these morning shows. I love college football. I love making the college football videos, but starting this morning show has been really good for me. Give me sort of an outlet to talk about some other things. So I appreciate y'all taking some time to listen to me this morning. Troy T., Christopher D., thank you again so much for supporting the show. Everybody in the comments section who managed to stick around to the end today, Tyler P., Mike Taylor, the Glitter Gator, Alyssa May, Jeff Webster, Dago, Richard Holton, NASCAR Vol, RB Smata, Christopher Duncan, Jeff Webster, VFL David, good morning to you, sir. Nick DTV, Kevin Cook, I guess BBD wasn't. I don't see him in here now. I'm sure he's still here. Well, I appreciate all you guys and girls tuning in this morning. Join us tonight right here on this channel, the new channel, for Uncle Lou after dark, right? 10 o'clock, and we'll do the regular nighttime show for an hour or so, and then we have the playoffs that we're doing. We really wish we could win a natty playoffs. We had Georgia versus Notre Dame in round 1 last week. Georgia won a close one. They advanced to the championship round. They will play the winner of tonight's game, which is the 2 versus 3 seed, Oregon versus Wisconsin. So the show will start at 10 tonight. Around 11, we will stream the game, Oregon versus Wisconsin, and the winner will take on Georgia on Thursday night for the title, for the championship in the we really wish we could win a natty playoffs that we're doing here on the channel. And like I mentioned, I found a roster update that includes 2020 rosters, this coming season's rosters. But according to what I read yesterday, they have only updated the rosters through teams that start with the letter G, I think. So, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Florida, Florida State, any team A through G is in there. So anyway, join us tonight, 10 o'clock. We'll have some fun. Really appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. Thank you for all the support all the time, but especially over the last week or so when I've really needed it. You guys have stepped up, and girls have stepped up, and it means a lot to me. So I love you guys, and I'll see you again real soon. Have a good morning.